I landed on the decision to release this video in tandem with part 1 of my playthrough of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly as opposed to in concert with one of my Fatal Frame 1 episodes because this video will have some massive spoilers, and I wanted to make sure that y'all could watch my review spoiler free if you so desired. With that out of the way, this video will explore the connection Miku and Mafuyu Hinasaki have to the Himuro Mansion and the Strangling Ritual, because the game hints heavily at this, but the explanation one can glean from cutscenes isn't so cut and dry. One thing that is helpful in the original Fatal Frame that I never looked at prior to my YouTube playthrough is a page that lists out the various key players in the story and how they're connected to one another. It's definitely a good jumping off point, and its mere existence should signal to even the densest of players that there must be something that ties Miku and Mafuyu to the events at Himuro Mansion in a fateful kind of way that goes beyond Mafuyu's desire to follow in Junsei Takamine's footsteps. Like, that's why he thinks he should go there, but there's definitely something deeper here. Be that as it may, the filled out page isn't quite as helpful or straightforward as I dared to hope when I discovered the incomplete version of it at the beginning of my playthrough. It turns out following the family line backward is actually incredibly helpful, and in this video I'll do just that. If we take one step back in the family line from Miku and Mafuyu, we come to their mother Miyuki Hinasaki. On night 2 we start to get some pretty significant hints that Miyuki has a connection to Himuro Mansion in the form of two cutscenes relatively close to one another. In the first, Miku enters the Koto room and finds a bunch of photographs, taken with a fateful camera obscura no less, strewn across a bench that look exactly the same as, quote, the ones Mom took. Well, that's weird. Why would those be here? Presumably, neither Miku nor Mafuyu has ever set foot in the mansion, and we don't really have a reason to believe that Miyuki has either. Strange. Mere moments later, Miku has a vision of Ryozo Munakata discovering his wife Yae hanging lifeless from a tree in the Cherry Atrium, which is located in a courtyard outside Himuro Mansion. As she's having this vision, the figure hanging from the tree limb transforms into Miyuki. To solidify the connection, Miku says, "Mom," seemingly out of shock. This second cutscene establishes a connection between Yae Munakata, who will again feature prominently in Fatal Frame 2, along with her twin sister Sae, and Miyuki. And you can bet we're going to explore that, but first let's examine all that we've observed so far. Miku finds photos in the Himuro Mansion that are similar in nature to the ones taken by her mother, which establishes that at some point the camera obscura comes into Miyuki's possession, hinting at her surprising connection to the Munakata family, the next family to occupy the mansion after the Himuro family. This also explains how the camera obscura then comes into Mafuyu's possession at the beginning of the game. We have this connection the cutscene establishes between Miyuki and Yae that we'll explore in a second, but I want to stay on the camera obscura as a focal point for a minute. How on earth does it come into Miyuki's possession in the first place? And for that, we once again need to take one step back in the family line to Miyuki's mother, Mikoto Munakata, who will help us establish Yae's connection to Miyuki and the rest of the Hinasakis, which will help explain why Himuro Mansion and the Calamity seem to have such a strong pull over Miku's and Mafuyu's fate. Now, Mikoto's story is interesting. She moves into the Himuro Mansion with her family and is visited by Kyrie's spirit, who hands her the camera obscura. Of course, her parents don't believe her when Mikoto insists that a girl in a white kimono gave her the camera, but her mother Yae is fascinated by the object and begins taking pictures. Eerily enough, some of her photographs show a little girl in a white kimono who isn't there. Shortly thereafter, the kids of the mansion decide to start up a rousing game of demon tag because, why not? And Mikoto grabs the camera obscura to immortalize the precious memory she is about to make with her friends in photo form. This round of demon tag turns deadly when every child involved except for Mikoto dies because that's how death works. Oh, also Mikoto's parents die, but inexplicably, Mikoto is led away from the mansion by Kyrie, where she is kept out of harm's way. The devastating part about all this is that Yae blames herself for Mikoto's presumed demise and ends her own life out of grief and guilt. Had she known about Kyrie's crucial intervention here, Yae's life may have been spared, but her death establishes her as the first person to fall prey to the camera obscura's curse. You see, she recognizes its uncanny ability to reveal that which shouldn't be there and eventually awakens to her own paranormal sensitivity that ultimately drives her to her death. Luckily, after her little carefree jaunt through the woods during which literally everyone she's ever known dies, a close friend of Mikoto's dad is there to offer her some comfort. This gallant gentleman's surname is Hinasaki, which is the surname she will adopt in her adult life. Anyway, after she leaves Himuro Mansion and takes the camera obscura with her, she marries someone and elects to give her daughter the name Miyuki Hinasaki. And this is how the camera obscura gets passed into the Hinasaki family line. But the really creepy part about all this is how the camera finds its way back to Himuro Mansion, almost as if there's some kind of pull it exudes that draws people to death. Enough waxing poetical for now. So at this point we have traced the connection all the way to Yae and Sae, who again will feature prominently in the second game. And this also explains why Miku sees a vision of her mother superimposed over Yae's apparition hanging from the tree in the courtyard. because there is a strong familial and spiritual connection between them. The familial is obvious, they are in fact related. The spiritual comes from the sad fact that Miyuki also is driven to her own death due to the Camera Obscura's malicious influence. The spiritual connection envelops the whole family though, which also explains why Mafiu bears a striking resemblance to the sexy visitor with whom Kyrie falls in love. Miku's and Mafiu's family wind up at Himuro Mansion in the first place due to Mikoto's father Ryozo Munakata's fascination with the strangling ritual. Yeah, looking at it a certain way, he brings his entire family into this haunting shit, and it's these resonances that make the Fatal Frame games work so well. We will see that these connections aren't confined to one title, rather they span all 5 games in surprising and frightening ways. For instance, we'll learn more about Ryozo's daddy dearest in the second game, and oh boy, look out. But more on that in a bit. For now, we'll go ahead and put a pin in this discussion until we get through more of Fatal Frame 2.